Now that we know how to add files to Git, let's learn how not to add the wrong files to Git. So I'm going to start off by creating a new file. I'm going to call it application.log. I'm going to add a few lines that might be log lines from an application that might be logging into this file. I'm going to save and close. So now if I do an ls, I can see that I have an application.log file in my project folder. And log files are generally files you don't want to have in version control. So if we do a git status, you can see that Git sees that there is an application.log file laying around in my folder. I don't want to accidentally add this file to source control, because then I'll have to remove it later. And those are just more steps I really don't want to do if I don't have to. Thankfully, Git provides an ability for us to exclude files that we don't want. It's called the .gitignore file. So if I type mate.gitignore, and the ignore file format is simply one pattern per line. And so a pattern could be the name of a folder. Like if you're using a Java project using Maven, then you might want to exclude the target directory. But in our case, we want to exclude any file that ends with log. So I'm going to do the asterisk.log, and I'm going to save and close. Now if I go back to the command line, I can see if I do an ls, we have an application.log file still there. And if I do a git status, it only sees the .gitignore file. Now when I did the ls command, it didn't show me the .gitignore file. And that's because dot files and dot folders are kind of excluded by default. You're kind of hidden, if you will. So if I do an ls-a, then it will show me the .gitignore file. The .gitignore file is actually a file like any other file that's part of my project, so I need to check that in the version control. So if I do git add .gitignore, now if I do git status, you can see that we have our new file that's been staged. And now we need to finalize it by committing, adding ignore file.